Growing up in a Christian family, reading the Bible stories before bed, and praying every day was like a big part of my life when I was younger. My parents encouraged me to make it a priority in my life. I never really understood or knew much about God as a little girl, but it was the way I'd been brought up and the way I'd been taught to live. At this point, religion was so minor to me as I was so young and didn't really understand it anyway. I would say I believed and lived as if I knew there was a God. I always hated going to church and Sunday school. I never understood anything from verses in the Bible to the way Christians would live their lives. I never understood the idea of the Trinity. How God can be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God is one. God is so high and powerful. It would be so wrong to even associate his power with another. Also, how Jesus could be the Son of God when Mary gave birth to him. God has no sons, no daughters, no wife. God has the heavens and the earth. I never could make sense of the religion, but I knew I believed in God. Day after day, year after year, my faith started to grow weaker. Nothing ever seemed to get better, just worse. Eventually, I lost all faith and started to believe that there was no God. If there was a God, why isn't he answering my prayers right? Why isn't he showing me even a little sign that he's there and things are going to get better? Why was I so unhappy? Not long after I lost my belief, as I started growing older, I became overwhelmed with depression. Starting off in secondary school with all these feelings and emotions honestly wasn't the best thing. And the first thing I started doing was relying on boys and toxic friendships to fulfill my happiness and to make me feel good about myself. I couldn't bring myself to figure out what it was that was so wrong in my life, what it was that I was missing, until I met a girl who now is my best friend. She's a born Muslim, and the thing that was crazy was that on the day I met her, I had been drinking, and I never thought on that day I would never drink again. We got to know each other, and month after month we grew closer, and she's now the best friend I could ever ask for. She never used to talk about her religion openly with me, and she wanted me to research for myself so I could turn around and say, "Yeah, I found that out myself," not "my friend told me." So I grew more and more curious each day I knew her. Like when your mom or dad tells you don't touch the cake on the side, you really want that cake now. Just because they told you not to touch it, she noticed that I was really interested and started answering questions I'd ask, like, "Why do you wear this? Why do you do that? What does this mean to you?" And the answers she gave really did shock me. There was only so much she could explain to me about her religion and her beliefs. And being so curious about Islam, I went and looked into it myself. And to my surprise, I loved what I was reading. Things just started clicking into place. The first thing I looked into was the 5 pillars of Islam and understanding what it actually means to be a Muslim. I'm so glad I did look into Islam myself, especially with all that's been going around in the media and in Muslim stereotypes. All by myself, I found out that Islam promotes nothing but peace and self-love. I even started listening to Quran, and I loved it. If you went to school with me and you saw me with my headphones in during mock and exam season, just know I was listening to the Quran, and I can bet none of you knew. It made me feel so calm and so peaceful. I loved what I was reading about the religion, and I felt so content. but not to my full potential. I converted to Islam in the beginning of April. I had just come back from staying with my auntie during the Easter holidays, my uncle and my cousins, who are all Muslim too. Staying with them for a week, I got to experience first-handedly what a Muslim household is like on a day-to-day basis, and what it's like to be a part of Islam. They increased my knowledge and helped me with any questions I did have. So at the end of my stay with them, I grew so much more in love with the religion, and I said to my friend, "That's it. I want to take my Shahada. I want to become Muslim. I want to start my journey now. I don't want to wait any longer. Tell your dad we need to do this ASAP." And she was so supportive and so happy for me. I literally didn't wait. As soon as I got back to reading, the next day I think, I went to her house and we waited for her dad to get home. When he did, we went downstairs and we spoke for a while. We spoke about what I knew about Islam, any questions I had about Islam, and what taking my Shahada would mean, and the responsibilities that come with being Muslim. I repeated the testimony of faith after my friend's dad, and I took my Shahada there, and then I've never experienced anything like it. I felt so content and overwhelmed with happiness in that very moment. I can remember not being able to stop smiling for the whole day and the days after. You know, when you smile so much, your cheeks and your head starts hurting so much. Everywhere I go, whatever I do, whoever I meet, I can feel the presence of God over me.